little bit of football, a little bit of your boy Deshaun Watson. Everything's all taken care of.
That's right. Just like
So
I
all
said.
30 of his accusers slash whatever allegedness, no criminal charges, of course, no criminal charges brought, but all the civil suits have been settled by the Houston Texans. And so now it looks like he is free and clear. So first things first, talk to me about kind of where you stand. Are you an adamant now? I mean, is it kind of like, okay, it's time to move on, or because the NFL suspension's still out there,
Right.
So
yeah, I mean, I think at this point, there's been everything is settled legally. I guess there's been no proof that he's done anything illegal, and we're getting close to. We're only a couple weeks away from preseason. I think if they're going to, they need to go ahead and I think we would see a suspension put out possibly next week or two.
Yeah, I would imagine that if they don't, it's a disservice not only to
it's a disservice to everybody.
Well, it's a disservice to everybody. So, and I think the NFL has to make a ruling on this because again, you're way too close to starting on with the preseason and training camp and all that. So you've got to come down. They've had a couple of weeks to process this. I'm curious to see whether or not this makes an impact on the decision that they've settled all 30. And again, no criminal charges were brought. Not enough evidence, according to the district attorney. So again, we are innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
Allegedly in this country.
Yeah. So I've heard if there's going to be, the rumor. Well, they declined I think it was original. Was it 12 games suspension? Then I heard a little bit of possibly 4 to 6.
Right.
But I think it really puts a hurting on the Browns. I think maybe
but I think they had to have anticipated this. They had to
plan ahead.
Right, because this cloud was hanging over. And by the way, he missed an entire year of football.
Right.
So let's not forget that.
When the cloud was it was a lot darker when they chose to go with him than it is now.
Well, but
there's some.
But again, there was nothing he missed an entire year of football without being guilty of anything.
Right.
So I personally, I think Cleveland sold their souls for Deshaun, but then again, that's their choice. As a result, Baker gets traded to Carolina. He comes out, has his first press conference, says all the right things, does,
right.
Hey, want to thank Cleveland. Hey, listen, what's in the past is the past. Now I'm ready to win in Carolina. Again, I think we talked about on the last space that we had the last time we talked was that the reason why it went so bad so quick was that Baker wanted to play hero ball, and then fast forward to Carson Wentz. Now he's with the Commanders. The Commodes. That's my man John Kincaid in Philadelphia would say, the Commodes. But it's this idea that even if he gets suspended, even if Deshaun gets suspended a couple games, he is not going to be playing hero ball because he doesn't need to.
Right.
So, but I thought that was just an interesting development. There was also an interesting development, too, staying in the division with some stuff about Lamar Jackson. Let me check my quick notes.
All right.
And there was some scuttlebutt from, Jason Whitlock, who I am not a fan of at all. I guess this nonsense about that he is he a quarterback Is he a running back? Is he a dual threat quarterback? And I think that, this kind of, it sounds strange, but there is sort of that umbrella of where do quarterbacks like Deshaun, Baker, Lamar Jackson, where do they fit in the pantheon of offensive players in the NFL? And I think what will be interesting is when Lamar and Deshaun are head to head.
Right.
So I don't know.
Well, I think, and if you're a starting quarterback in the NFL, don't give me any of the, he's not a passing quarterback. He's a rushing quarterback, or even a dual threat. I think that's like an injustice. I mean, if you're gonna have to be a starting quarterback in the NFL, you can pass the ball. Can somebody pass it better than you? Probably so. But you're a passing quarterback first, and you've got the legs, you've got the athleticism that you can run the ball.
Yeah, and I think,
in my opinion,
yeah, I mean, it stems back to this, Bernard Pollard, his former teammate, being highly critical of his new contract extension and all this. Which again, I never begrudge a man's money. If the man can make money doing what he does, playing the way he plays, there's no problem with that. I mean, that's the athletes have to, good, bad, or indifferent, they have to accrue as much money as they possibly can because the average NFL career isn't more than 5 years. Okay, now we can talk about the amounts of money, but again, sports generates a ton of dough. Let's not kid ourselves. But this idea that Lamar, Baker, even Deshaun goes back to the Michael Vick. What was Michael Vick? Was he quarterback? Was he running back? What have you? I think all of this plays into what the NFL has evolved into, as opposed to, what are we looking at as far as the evolution of football? So in college, now it's about, quarterbacks that can run, quarterbacks that can move. Less emphasis is being put on the traditional pocket passer. And is this good or bad for the game? So, speaking about good or bad, I wanted to kind of parlay this talk with Deshaun about some win totals.
Yeah.
So, we're 2 weeks away from the opening of training camp?
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk specifically. Let's talk about the Browns, and the reason why is because does Deshaun add? How much does Deshaun add? If we go to looking at win totals, would you put any money on? I'm going to set the line. I'm going to set the line at. And when I say money, we're talking about the mythical ducats. So here you have a plethora of ducats sitting in front of you. Okay? You're at the legal sports book, whether you're in Vegas or
this whatever. Is Monopoly money we're talking.
Yeah, it's ducats. It's Monopoly money.
Monopoly money.
So you got Monopoly money. Are you putting, how much are you putting on Cleveland Browns over 8 wins?
Over 8 wins?
How much are you putting on there? Over under. Are you going? Let me guys see. Are you going over under?
Oh, easily over.
You think over?
Over.
In their division, you're thinking over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're how much you putting on there? How much Monopoly money? Are you going blue, pink, green?
I don't know.
Are you going orange,
yellow? I don't remember what the colors are.
I mean, do you have? Are you putting the $1 bill, which is the white, the 5, which is the pink?
You got the 5s, you got the 20s.
Yeah, the 50s, green 20,
the 100s.
You
got the 500s too.
You got the orange. How much Monopoly money you putting on that?
I'd say I'd put about 200.
200 over or under? 200 over. Yeah, I it should be interesting because depending on the suspension.
Right.
I think
that team is loaded if they're.
It is loaded.
They got the quarterback.
Yeah, and they got the run game. I think it's a push. I think they win 8, but then that keeps them out of the playoffs. I'm gonna put 50 I'm going to put 50 Monopoly dollars on the under. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. All right. So same division. Talking about Baltimore. Baltimore
is 9.5.
9.5.
Last year they ended with eight wins.
Right. Over or under. Where are you going? And what's your confidence level?
9.5. I'm going to go under, and I'll throw 100 on it.
You're going to go light yellow with the $100 Monopoly ball.
Sure, if that's the color.
I'm going to take that same money and I'm going to go over.
Really? Okay.
I think, once again, I thought they had an incredible draft, as they always do.
Right.
I think they are also loaded with talent. I think a healthy Lamar Jackson is a big problem for the NFL. Big problem. So I'm going to go over.
Can I change mine?
Sure.
All right. I'm going to go.
This is our podcast. This is the sports enlightenment. This is where, I bring the knowledge.
The banker will give me my money back?
Yeah. You sell the bet.
I'm going to go 50 and I'm going to go over because I see Baltimore as being the second best team in the division this year.
Versus behind Cincinnati.
Ahead of Cincinnati.
You think they're ahead of Cincinnati?
I really think Cincinnati has a sophomore, what do you call it?
Sophomore slump?
I do. I know there's...
But Burrows is... But he's in his third year now.
Well, as a team, last year...
Okay.
Last year being
so
a great
you think...
year,
You believe... So you're going to buy into the losing Super Bowl...
I do.
Losing Super Bowl slump.
Obviously, I don't want to jinx it. Wish nothing.
No, I mean, we could jinx. I mean, listen.
He's still been injury prone in his career, and
well, he's had no offensive line. I mean, they did. The one thing Cincinnati did do is they did try to bolster that offensive line because they needed it. Everything else they're loaded.
They've got the receivers.
Your boy T. Higgins, your man, Clemson.
Somebody didn't want Philly to draft coming out of.
No, somebody didn't. And clearly, I was wrong. I was, and this is full disclosure, I thought the Jalen Reagor pick was a good one.
Right.
Clearly, we misjudged that one. I'm, still salty about the J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. And this is going to, we're going to talk about Carolina. We're going to talk about Matt Rule. Because when Matt Rule was at Baylor, he said nobody could stop that kid. But again, it's the Big 12 and defense is a rumor. Right. So, as the great Bill Parcells would often say. All right, so Cincinnati Bengals over under 9.5.
9.5.
What do you got?
I'm going to go under. I'm not going to put a lot of money out. I'm going to put 50 on that one, just like I went 50 up on Cleveland. But I'm going to go, or Baltimore. I'm going to go 50, and I'm going to go under.
Yeah, see, I almost think this is a push. Obviously 9.5. I think I don't think they have as big a drop off, but I'm going to go under just because of the post Super Bowl losing trends.
Last year they only had 10.
Yeah,
that's not shy of.
But they, but in a weakened division at the time.
Right.
Although you thought that the AFC North was going to be a strength.
Right.
And they, of course, they turned it on in the second half, the Bengals. I'm going to go 9.5. I'm going to go under at 9.
All right.
So, and I'm going to put 50 on that. All right, which leaves the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Stellars. And Pittsburgh's at 7.5. Last year they had 9.
Give me 2 seconds. You do your thing.
I'm gonna
see their schedule.
Yeah, I'm gonna say the Pittsburgh. I think the division, as always, is going to beat each other up senselessly. I don't know. I don't like where Pittsburgh's going. I don't necessarily like. I think they need
the quarterback
time.
situation.
The quarterback situation's a mess.
Right.
I think what will be good for Pittsburgh is that defense will start to solidify a little bit. But again, Watt's got to stay healthy. But they kind of lost their identity. So I'm going to go under, and I'm going to put 50 Monopoly dollars on the under.
50.
Yeah, I see him at maybe 6 and 7, but I don't see him making the playoffs. I just don't.
Give me 1 second. All right.
Yeah, because we got listeners. So
Yeah. No, I think I'm gonna go with you. I think what is it, 7.5, Fred?
So over under 7.5 wins.
I'm gonna put 100 down on that one, and I'm gonna say under.
Okay.
I just think quarterback situation. I'm not saying I don't think that what's their rookie quarterback's name? Pickett.
Yeah, Kenny.
I think
hometown
Pickett,
boy though.
I think Pickett's got. I like the kid. I just don't know if rookie season if they're. I just don't know if there's enough around him yet.
Yeah. See, you and I watched a lot of ACC football.
Right.
Obviously, full disclosure, he's a Clemson maniac. What do you call Clemsonite? Is it are you you have tiger blood? Like what is the? It's like we Temple Owls. The mighty Temple Owls.
Okay.
We just go with the Temple Tough. We're just the Temple Tough crew. But
we're solid ones. We're all in.
All in. That's it. So are you? So all in on Kenny Pickett. We watched a lot of ACC football. I thought he played really well against Clemson. I thought he played really well against Florida State.
Yeah.
And again, those are the two obviously cream of the crop.
And he was a starter in Pittsburgh for at least 3 out of his 4 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, lots of experience in college.
He's got a lot of poise. He's athletic. He can throw the ball, but he's still an NFL rookie.
Right.
So.
And does Pittsburgh have the offensive tools around them?
Yeah.
I still am not confident.
Well,
the receiving core and.
Again, they have to. The problem with Pittsburgh is their identity is run the ball, and play defense.
Right.
It's always been what the Rooneys have put forth. It's always been a staple of Mike Tomlin. I just don't know if they can run the ball this year. I mean, that's going to be the hardest. And obviously, the best thing for them would be to have a strong running game, ease the rookie quarterback in. Because if you're banking on Mason Rudolph as your starter, you're done. So, all right, I want to switch gears, and we talked a little bit about Baker. So I want to talk about the NFC South and talk about Carolina. Right now Vegas has got them at 5.5. Plus or minus. What do you got?
This one's easy for me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting the whole. What color is 500? Is it
orange?
Orange.
You going orange?
500 on over.
I'm with you.
Absolutely.
I actually think this
17 games. Come on.
Here's the thing. I think that defensively, Carolina is solid. Again, having gone to see them play the Eagles, their defense kept them in a game that Sam Darnold tried to lose.
Right.
Absolutely tried to lose. I think with Baker going to be their starting quarterback, even if he does try to play hero ball, he won't screw it up as bad as Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold's terrible. I'm sorry. I understand that he's a great locker room guy. People love him. We talked about this last time on the space.
Baker's a better quarterback.
Baker's a better quarterback.
He's a better athlete.
Yeah, and he has a higher football IQ.
He's a better leader.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think.
I think you're going to have guys that want to play with them. The last year in Cleveland, all the drama in the locker room with him. I mean, I think you're going to have guys that.
Here's what I think as well. Last year, Carolina fired their offensive coordinator in Week 10. So clearly, Matt has a vision of what he wants that offense to be.
Right.
We all know that whole offense is predicated on the health of Christian McCaffrey. If Christian McCaffrey's healthy, that's an easy 500.
Watch out.
We're buying Boardwalk and Park Place. Right. In fact, we get that whole row if McCaffrey stays healthy. DJ Moore putting hotels on Boardwalk.
That's right.
Because Baker can do that. I think also, too, for Baker, this is going to be a fresh start. Obviously, everyone says that whenever somebody gets traded. But the reality is, they couldn't make that offense work with Cam because Cam was shot. They can't make the offense work with Darnold because he's not that good. Baker doesn't have to be that good in order to make it work because they're going to run the ball. You got Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard, however you say his name. But I think he's a really strong back. Watch that kid. I mean, he's not afraid to take contact. He'll hit a hole. He'll hit it hard. McCaffrey obviously is a multi-tooled player who, when healthy, is probably one of the best offensive weapons in the league. And then all Baker has to do is just get them the ball, and he can at least do that.
Right.
He can't necessarily get the ball downfield, but you may not need that because if you can just get chunks of yardage moving forward. So I'm with you. I'm taking that I'm taking that orange and I'm putting that on over.
Well, and look at Baker's whole career when he's been the underdog guy as a redshirt.
Yeah.
And both at Texas Tech and then transferred to Oklahoma, and and then even in Cleveland, he wasn't the original starter.
No, but he got him to a playoff game.
Yeah, and so I just think
and they destroyed Pittsburgh.
You want somebody who's good enough to really prove you wrong and not. Yeah,
it's the mental game with him.
I'm not saying he's going to win you a Super Bowl, but you back him up to a corner, and he's got enough. He's got enough to.
But that's also what you worry about too, because if he feels backed in the corner, and how do you go from destroying your number one rival in a playoff game and utterly just having the city at your feet to being out in a year?
Right.
Now, again, I'm a big Kevin Stefanski fan. I think he's a brilliant football mind, yada, yada, yada. But I'm also a big Matt Rule fan. But I know where Matt's strengths are. His strength is on the defensive side.
Right.
Stefanski, an offensive guy. So I'm with you, though. I'm taking that big orange Monopoly dollars, and I'm putting that on the over.
All
right. So let's talk about Atlanta. Atlanta is a 4.5.
They have a big quarterback decision.
Huge.
Marcus Mariota.
Oh, yes, there you go.
Or,
do the deal, as we would say.
Or Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, okay. So, as we were screaming in Philadelphia many years ago, do the deal. Do the deal. Get up to number 2. Go get Marcus Mariota so that you could reunite him with that fraud Chip Kelly. I'm going to say that Marcus, God bless him, good Samoan. He's of the brotherhood. Samoan brother. He's in the bloodline. He is one of my, as honorary Samoan. Love Marcus Mariota. Yeah, I'm going under Atlanta. They're going to be
that
a
one.
disaster.
I'll probably put. I think that one I'm going to put back,
and especially
200 on the under.
I might even put it. I might put 2 oranges. I might put 2 oranges on the under.
I'll go 300
with no Calvin Ridley. Julio Jones on the back tail of his career. No running game. No offensive line. No quarterback. No wonder Matt Ryan was like, "See ya, be gone."
Julio's not there anymore.
Oh, that's right. Julio's in Tennessee. No, is he on the back? He left.
Are you putting 3 500s?
I'm gonna put 3 500s. I'm gonna put 3 oranges on there.
And who's running back?
Atlanta's a mess. By the way, I think their coach is a joke. And their owner, who I at first, Mr. Blank, who was like, I thought he was a really strong owner. Right. He's now sort of becoming a character of himself, and that's like Jerry Jones can be a character because he's Jerry Jones, right?
Right.
Billionaire. I mean, they're all billionaires,
right.
But Jerry Jones played football.
Right.
Okay, he played at the University of Arkansas. He played with Jimmy Johnson. Like, good, bad, or indifferent. Jerry knows football, and Jerry knows how to spend. Jerry will spend his money. Right. Arthur Blank never played football.
Right. That's a poor Kyle Pitts.
Yes. That's oh my God, another one. And quite honestly, my opinion on the Calvin Ridley thing is I think that's an utter joke too. Yeah. But nonetheless, I might put 2 500s on the under.
I'm going 300.
All right, so now we got to talk about the perennial favorite, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the ageless wonder,
11
Thomas Danforth Brady, 11.5. Where are you going?
Now remind me, have they added more firepower in the last season, or not like in the last 2 years?
I think they've stabilized. It's clear Gronk's not back, but honestly, I don't think they're missing much. I think Gronk's toast. He was toast last year.
Some people say that he just doesn't want to participate in camps.
And you know what? Quite honestly, he's at a stage an age and stage in his career most veteran guys don't want to go. Nobody wants to go to training camp. Everybody hates training camp.
Right.
There's enough stories of enough veterans that get into fights so that they sent home.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So, and if that is what Gronk's doing and he is going to come back, God bless Gronk. I still think he is just. I mean, he was a difference maker. I don't know how much he is now.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they fortified the defense. I think they built that offensive line stronger. I don't know what they can do with the running game, but you got Tom Brady. I'm going to go over, but I'm going with a 20.
I'm going. It's 11 and a half.
11 and a half.
And I'm going under. I'm going to go right at 11.
Yeah. See, I'm going right at 12.
I'm putting down 50.
You're putting a blue. You're putting a 50 on there. That Monopoly money.
Yeah. I think because even Brady, I read the other day, he's even realized he doesn't have 4 or 5 more years left.
Is that all?
No, that's not the only reason. But I think now it's in his head that, like,
Yeah, finally he's on the back nine.
The end is near. He's
43.
Down, 44.
44. Yeah, he might not play till 50. Is that what he's saying?
He's becoming more human.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I do think I think you may have seen how Tom gave us great wisdom on being a parent and how difficult it is to be a parent when you're wealthy. My heart bled for Tom and Gisela too, because her poor Tommy. So when you how can you teach the child the value of the dollar when you have limousines and private jets and mansions and and I felt for him as we were trying to figure out how to pick up our own kids in broken down cars. But Tom again dispenses the wisdom, the sports enlightenment.
Right.
This time, parent enlightenment. Again, I'm putting 20 on. I'm putting a greener on just above.
I got 50 on that.
All right. So now this leaves us with Carolina, Baker. Did we talk 5.5? Oh, we talked about Carolina.
We talked about the Saints.
The Saints. Yes, the Saints. Okay, I am putting 500 on the under. I don't even care what the number is. 7.5. Oh, I'm going under.
Yeah, man.
I'm going
looking
under.
At their schedule right now and not.
I'm going under.
Not the easiest.
And I'm going to tell you why.
We're talking
pure greed.
7.5 is it, right?
Yeah, pure greed. The Eagles have their number 1 pick next year.
Okay.
Because they Howie Roseman, who I was calling for his head, as many people in Philadelphia were, fleeced the New Orleans Saints because they're in cap hell. Right. They're in such financial drudgery or what have you. Oh my God, am I praying that they're under? I'm putting 500 on under 7.5 for the Saints. I hope they finish 0-17 with the number 1 pick so they can just hand that over to Philadelphia.
About the only one I see on their schedule that I see them honestly beating is the Falcons.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'll be a slobber knocker of a game.
Worse than the Falcons.
Yeah, I see that. Now, I don't know how they get 7.5 with no quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean,
Who is their quarterback?
Well, it's got to be. Is it Taysom? No, it's Jameis. Famous Jameis.
Is still there?
Yeah, I mean, even if he comes back healthy, he stinks.
Right.
He's
just gonna throw. He's gonna throw a ton.
Pick after pick after pick.
City. So yeah, I'm gonna put. You put 500 on this one. I'm gonna put 2 500s. I'll put 1,000.
There you go. Yes,
and then
I'm gonna take that draft pick, and Howie Roseman's gonna parlay that into something really good. All right, I think we've bored the audience enough with this kind of talk. We've talked for 30 minutes. So we were going to talk about college football. Let's table that next year.
You want to run through it real quick?
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's do over-unders because obviously with pro football starting, college football starting, and I just want to talk real quick about the last 4 teams. As the season gets closer, of course, we're going to talk about the super conferences and how that's going to affect, moving forward with the playoffs. All right, let's talk about the defending national champs, Georgia, 10.5.
10.5. I've got over.
You got over.
Well, it's
okay.
Hard to say. Yeah, I'm gonna go. Yeah, I'm gonna go over. I'm gonna go. 11.
Okay.
At least 11.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know how much super. I think they're right at 10. That's why that 10.5 is tough.
I think it comes down to obviously. I don't even know.
Yeah, how well, but it's how well did they retool?
Right.
if you look at what happened to LSU after they were all in for the national championship, right? Then the wheels started to come off. Now Coach O's out. Oh, I love Coach O. I'm a big fan of Coach O.
But I don't think LSU's always kind of been in that same boat. They had, Burrow. They've always had talent. They've just never.
Right. Well, they never had a quarterback.
But when they had Burrow, they were. So I think Georgia's a different situation. I think they're top dog in the SEC right now. Not even.
You never count Alabama out, but.
All right, Michigan. We got 9.5.
Yeah,
They still feel the postseason blues.
I don't know if it's a postseason blues. I think it's just again a loss of a ton of seniors.
Right.
So I don't think 9.5 is a lot.
So I think you're thinking, they going 9?
Yeah, I think it's like a 9-3 or 9, or maybe 10. Depends on how many games they have. I'm gonna go for Michigan. I don't even think I'd bet it, quite honestly. But for Michigan,
for Monopoly money.
For Monopoly money, you know what? Since it's Monopoly money, and my God, I have so much of it, I'm actually going to go over the 9.5. I think they have 10 wins. I think Ohio State's going to beat them this year, and probably they'll lose to Michigan State this year.
I think that conference has gotten weaker.
Well, it is until USC and UCLA come.
Right.
And that's, this is going to be a huge conversation along over the course of the season over how the whole landscape's changing. Again, the Big Ten is still a tough conference.
For sure.
So, and I think Michigan has maneuvered themselves slightly ahead of Michigan State. But once again, we'll see what happens with Ohio State. But I'm going to give Michigan. I'm going to take 50, and I'm going to go over.
I think I am too now. I think you've convinced me.
That's what I do. It's the sports enlightenment. That's what I do. It's why I'm the sensei.
All right, Roll Tide.
Alabama.
11.5. I'm going under.
I'm going over.
So you're going 12.
I think Alabama has their
regular season.
Yeah, I think they have their bounce, quote unquote bounce back. I mean, when do they not bounce back?
Undefeated regular season for you. I'm going
under.
I'm gonna go 11. Only loss. Well, I'd say 11 or 10 is definitely. Now, this, of course, we haven't looked at the schedule. Let me see.
But I mean,
they play Georgia. Let's see real quick.
Yeah, I mean, it's an SEC schedule.
They don't play Georgia in the regular season. So I still on a potential loss.
If they're not playing Georgia, I'm going over.
Is Texas A&M?
Yeah,
because of recruiting. But
yeah, I mean, listen, I'm still angry at Jimbo for leaving Florida State. I will never get over that.
We don't have time, but after you're done there, you got to look at Alabama's schedule. It is the easiest.
Yeah,
schedule.
That's why I'll take 100 and I'll go over. I mean, it's hard to bet against Saban. I know most people don't like him. I have nothing but respect for him.
Right.
I don't necessarily like him, but I certainly respect him as a coach and what they do at Alabama. So I say Roll Tide. I say we're going over. And then our last is Cincinnati. Cincinnati is at a 9 wins, I think. Is that what I'm seeing?
I'm putting a 500 down on over.
Yeah, I am too. I don't, again, outside of Temple University, my alma mater, who challenges them in the American Athletic Conference? I don't think they have a very tough out-of-conference schedule either.
No,
okay. Well. Although Arkansas had a good bounce-back year last year.
They did.
I mean,
they were competitive.
They were very competitive, and I think they will continue to be. Again, Cincinnati lost a lot of talent.
Right.
So the question is, can Luke Fickell retool?
Right.
Again, you're in a division that is obviously not, it's the fifth of the Big Fives or whatever, the top four. And again, outside of my alma mater, I don't know who really. I think Temple's win total's I gotta see. They have a new coach, which we're really 2.5. 2.5 wins for Temple. I guess they're playing two FCS teams.
What are the Tigers when it comes to?
All right, just for
fun.
Just for fun, because we can get into that next week. 10.5 on Clemson.
I'm going over.
Well, of course you are. You're all in.
That's right.
You're all in, bro.
That's right.
Again, I got to look at the rest of the SEC. I don't know who challenges them. The ACC. What did I say?
Notre Dame's the only possible loss, but even with that, gets you 11.
Even with that, yeah. Florida State was terrible last year.
They've been terrible for
years. Yeah, I mean, what's his name? Mike Nolan? Who's the coach? Mike Newell?
I don't know.
Anyway, I mean, they were one loss away from making a call to Deion Sanders.
There's nothing interesting about
No.
Tallahassee anymore other than their history.
Yeah.
Their facilities are terrible.
Well, again, I still, I'm still angry at Jimbo for not staying.
Right.
But, he saw an opportunity. I don't think he saw that Florida State was what it once was under Coach Baba Bowden. So, anyway, all right. Well, we have exhausted, I think, the football talk. But this is the beautiful thing. There is so much to talk about. We're going to shift gears, and it is time for the true essence of the dojo, and that is sports entertainment, baby.
Let's go.
Done.
Woo!
All right. Start with Raw. Monday night. Brock was back. Starting off in Texas.
That's right.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Started out, he was in a good mood.
Yeah, he was in a very good mood. And then, of course, Paul comes out and tries to oversell. And I thought that was kind of a messy segment.
It was. But then it got messier.
Then Theory comes out.
And then he just pissed off Rob.
Yeah. So, and again, I will tell you that some of the most underrated, underused talent is the Alpha Academy. Because Chad Gable, let me tell you something. Chad Gable has taken what Kurt Angle started and taken it to a completely different. Chad Angle Chad Gable is I think that guy is an uber talent. I really do.
Right.
But when Brock F5's Otis through the table, the only thing I could think of was, somebody put this up, the only other person to pick up Otis was Bianca Belair. So,
which is impressive.
Yes, which shows her athletic prowess. Theory bothers me, and I think that's what he's supposed to do. Right? But I don't know how SummerSlam's going to go.
I know. Now I'm seeing so many possible different scenarios in my head.
Yeah. Somehow though, and we'll have a SummerSlam preview show. Obviously, then probably the day of we'll do a pre-show. Somehow Theory walks out with the titles because I think, as you've been talking about the last couple of spaces we've had, Roman's going to Hollywood. Brock's just getting a payday. Right. And listen, Brock's at that stage. This is what Hulk Hogan would do. This is what Cena would do. He comes back, he's Brock, the crowd goes nuts because there's nobody to challenge.
Right.
There's just nobody. Second thing on Raw is Liv. I mean, what in the world?
Before we even get there, since we're talking about the whole thing,
all right,
let's skip to the end of Raw. Dolph Ziggler. So let me ask you: do you think this is a? Because I don't see I don't see how it's.
Is this the what's the line? Is the last act of a desperate man? As was once said.
I don't see how it's possible. Do you see it as a storyline between Theory and Ziggler, or Ziggler just used Theory as to make a statement?
I mean, what benefit does it even benefit Dolph to have a storyline with Theory?
Right, where does that go?
You're right,
and why?
And to follow up on that, we're going to talk.
It's not like he has a title; he has the Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
So unless you're going to do the thing I think everybody hates, where you put the Money in the Bank, Money in the Bank on the line, and two guys.
Yeah, but okay. But here's the only reason why that worked.
You do that when you make a mistake.
That worked with the Miz because they realized they messed up giving it to Otis.
Right.
Okay. So, and that was such a convoluted storyline, and I guess because Dolph did, and he really did a great job in NXT.
Right.
Like he elevated Breaker.
Right.
And who was the other guy involved in all that? It was Breaker and there was the three of them. It was him and the other dude.
I know.
The other dude. And I want to touch on NXT too, because I think Corey Graves said something that I have felt for quite a while, and I know people good, bad, or indifferent about Graves. I think Graves said something really smart about that. But I think, all right, so you got, was it Ciampa? Was Ciampa in on that? On that, was it Breaker? It was Breaker, Ciampa, and Dolph Ziggler. That was that thing to kind of elevate Braun Breaker into, potential main event. Okay, which I think Dolph did a great job. Theory doesn't need to be elevated.
No, I mean, Vince is doing that for him.
Yeah, I would say this, and this is what kind of shocked me a little bit. Like, everybody knows, behind the curtain, what have you, Miz and Ziggler are buddies, right? They, I know I'm one of the 14 people that watches Miz and Mrs. because I love the Miz and I love Maurice, and I'm just, it's schlock, like it's brainless entertainment. And Dolph's on there. He's on the show. Him and Alexa Bliss and her husband, who's Mrs. Buddy, and all this other stuff. So, but again, why not put Dolph in that mix? Maybe Dolph becomes Logan Paul's partner. I mean, whatever. What in the world? Like, I don't even know what purpose it served anybody.
Where's Bobby Roode?
Yeah, I'm sure he'll be right there. I'm sure the Dirty Dogs will be back. But by the way, they are great workers. They really are.
Well, it's a lot like back in Impact or TNA back then when Robert Roode was with
James
Storm.
James Storm. Yeah, they were
beer money.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty much the exact same.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Dolph is far more athletic than Storm ever was.
The same type of tag team.
Yeah, I mean, it's what I love what you could have done with them. And again, I go back to the difference between WWE and AEW. Okay, they could have been they're essentially the Alpha Academy. Okay, so the Alpha Academy is used to either put people over, not put people over, what have you. The Dogs are good. I mean, they're good performers. They're good workers.
Right.
Now, granted, both of those guys are elevated in age. Yeah. I think Bobby Roode's almost in his late 30s, early 40s. So he's up there.
Right.
So, and these guys are getting smarter. They're realizing that, hey, I got to get out. I make my money. I get out of the business before it's too late. Because the guys that hang on too long wind up in TNA or Impact anymore. But I don't know. I just don't understand what you're going to do with Dolph.
It's going to be interesting to watch, see what they're... Was it just a, let me go ahead and make a statement, but there's another purpose, or is there a storyline theory you would think would be short-term?
Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna insert him in there, then it's guaranteed that Theory walks off with the title at SummerSlam.
Right.
And I think what it comes down to is, I think somehow Brock beats Roman.
Right.
And then Theory beats Brock. Because that's the only logical thing. And, Theory gets revenge on Brock for whatever. Because then you can bring Brock back whenever.
Well,
but go ahead.
Question. So, Theory cashed in Money in the Bank on Brock. After that, does Brock go away for a while?
Yeah, Brock goes away.
Okay, so do you think who becomes the next Heyman guy? Is it Theory?
No, I think that, and again, I think SmackDown sort of set that up.
Okay.
I mean, maybe Paul takes a step back. I don't know.
Do you think there's a chance Theory wins it, Brock does not go away, and then, because, there are rumors, but, it's pretty interesting theory that new theory that I saw was that Theory wins them, then he loses the title to
Drew.
He loses both of them. He loses one to Seth. He loses one to, I guess he faces Brock again. Loses the title to Brock, and then at the Palace, Drew beats Brock.
It seems like a lot of losing for Brock. I mean, it's
and then he goes away.
It's again.
I think Brock will do whatever it takes for money.
Yeah, but see, I don't think Brock needs to. And the
But
one
I
thing
think he
is,
will. Cause,
yeah, but they said the same thing about Hogan, right? So Hogan had those contracts where he would come in, guaranteed title. Cena kind of the same way, The Rock kind of the same way, even Stone Cold. The thing of it is Brock doesn't need it. I mean, first and foremost, he's so well respected in the locker room. Everyone loves Brock. Um, he doesn't need to get over with the crowd, so you don't need to do any of that stuff. Brock could lose and no one would care because he's Brock Lesnar. He's the beast incarnate. But he's also, Brock's in his mid-40s. He does. What does he need this for? He's got his ranch. He's got Sami Zayn as his fellow.
which we'll have to talk about.
Oh my God, please. Anyway, another wasted talent is Sammy and Kevin Owens, but somehow I see them putting it on Theory. Now, this could all blow up with the European pay-per-view or whatever, but we'll talk about that in a minute. All right, so that's pretty convoluted. So the whole Dolph Ziggler situation, I don't know what you do with Dolph. I mean, Dolph can still perform, he can still go, but what do you do with him?
Right. He said a ringside for that whole match.
Yeah, and then he's basically super kicked.
So it wasn't even truly a surprise. I mean,
he can't. Well, the surprise was, Dolph Ziggler showed up.
Right,
What?
and so then but the end, the super kick, all that.
Right.
I mean, you knew something was going to happen, so it's like it would have been different if he just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Super kicked them.
Right.
At least you have a little more excitement.
But, yeah, and I think that's the
Instead, you foreshadow it by him just sitting out there the whole night.
Right, but again, where does he go with it? Like what?
Well, that's for them to find out. But if they have a plan, then they should have.
Yeah, but we've noticed over the past couple of weeks, and I think over the past year, even longer, there is no plan. There's never been a plan.
But you got to hope one day there's going to be a plan.
No, when there will be a plan.
TV-14.
I hate to say, well,
TV-14.
but TV-14 doesn't change storylines. It doesn't change the creative team. This is like, I mean, I hate to go all the way back to Punk and the pipe bomb, but I mean, Punk's right. Like, nothing will ever change until Vince is gone. I mean, gone. Like, has left the earth.
Right.
And we wish him nothing but good health and, all the steroids he's taking, whatever he's doing, all the, mayhem behind Vince. But even Vince isn't going away. Right. Vince has got multiple accusations out there and, and hush money and 12 million and all this. And Vince don't care.
Right.
He's 70. He doesn't care. So, even if that all goes, that it's not going to change because Vince is still going to have input. It's still his company. You can remove him all you want. He's still Vince. But anyway, so, all right. So let's move on to, who shall we move on to next? The ever-ending or never-ending saga of how Liv Morgan is now the new ultimate underdog, and so you got Becky, Bianca, and Carmella, who, by the way, again, another great match between Bianca and Carmella. And what does it end with? Confusion. Nothing but confusion.
Because they just don't know how to put the women's storyline together. I mean, it's worse than it is. I mean, you got all this talent and just you
don't elevate it. You don't. I mean, again, I hate to point to AEW, but
at least they're elevating.
They're elevating. I mean, Thunder Rosa is a quote unquote underdog, has been like all her career, and she even lost to somebody over in Europe, but setups up. But she and Toni Storm now. You can bring back Britt Baker, DMD, and immediately you've got heat, and you've got great matches. It's and here's another confusing match to me: Asuka and Alexa. So now they're a tag team, okay, and they're in against Doudrop and Nikki Ash. Who again? Can we just drop that? I mean, they didn't give it time. They didn't let it work. They killed it on her, but she's still pushing it. No,
she's just wearing it now. But I mean, it's like she's just wearing the costume. She's not even truly pushing it.
And Dewdrop was another one. Here she came in and she was disrespected. She got to respect it. Now all she does is lose. Right. And again, these are two really good, strong women wrestlers
who would be better off at this point somewhere else.
Or do something with the women's tag team thing for crying out loud. So now you're going to put Asuka and Alexa together. I mean, I'm waiting for Alexa to snap because then that makes her character interesting again. I think Asuka is somebody you could do that with,
right? Because
Asuka, I love Asuka. I think she is probably pound for pound the second best. I say that because you know how much I love Natalya. I think Natalya's in-ring skills are outrageous. So for me, it's Natalya, Asuka, Charlotte, Becky. Okay, and then if you bring eventually, I think Bayley will come back. Obviously, Sasha's not coming back anytime soon. Naomi's not coming back anytime soon. I just think, all right, what are you going to do with them? Are they going to fight Dewdrop? Is it going to be like the Usos and the Street Profits now every week, or how it was with the New Day? Just every week it's the same match. This is, I don't know, but I don't know what you do with Alexa, unless you're going to turn her. And if you're going to turn her, this is the time to do it, because it just makes.
Right now we don't have a clue what direction they're going with it.
So. All right, and then speaking of no direction, okay, the Profits and the Usos. So you bring Omos in. Mm-hmm. What? What?
What does he have to do with this?
Nothing.
Exactly.
But he gets the win.
Exactly.
So
and then who's we find out the special guest?
Yeah, well that's SmackDown. I want to keep SmackDown. I just want to stick with Raw for a minute. Again, listen, I know you've got to build storylines. And, okay, the Street Profits and Usos just give you great matches. All right? And you get the Bro, because everyone loves the Bro.
Right.
Okay? I mean, who doesn't love the Bro?
He can be with anybody.
He can be with anybody. But almost gets the win. And for what? For what? he's like Dolph Ziggler. It's
just to give the Usos the reason to win.
Okay, but they didn't win.
Do you think
almost
do you
won?
Think they're going to lose at SummerSlam?
I do. I actually do think so. And when we get to SmackDown, I'll tell you why.
Because they're making such a big build up to this.
Yes.
That there has to be a reason.
Yeah.
Change.
All right. Well, let's jump to it then. Let's jump to it. So obviously, staying with the Usos and the Street Profits, we find out that the special guest referee is not Sami Zayn. It's Double J, Jeff Jarrett. The JEFF JARRETT, Jeff Jarrett. Because you're in Nashville, and it's Jeff Jarrett,
right?
Not Sami Zayn.
No.
Sammy comes out on commentary. Sammy's a bloodline guy.
Right, he was a bloodline guy. He got involved with the. He came out when the Usos.
Yeah, well, with Theory, he confronted Theory. Okay. Again, Sammy is one of the most intriguing characters in the WWE, and you don't make him the special guest referee. Right. You don't have him maneuver to become the special guest referee. As an honorary Us, you give it to Jeff Jarrett because it's Nashville. So, and that's why I think the Street Profits win.
WWE.
Yes. And that's why the Street Profits win.
Right. And you can put, you're exactly right on that. I would put 500 Monopoly.
Yeah, give me 1,000. Give me 2 oranges.
With Jeff Jarrett, unless Roman comes out and chokes out. But Roman's not doing any dirty work for his.
No, and he has. I mean, obviously he has.
Right.
But Sammy's the guy to do it. Sammy's the most intriguing.
Maybe Sammy comes out.
Okay.
That's possible. That's possible.
Yeah, it is.
And he does something to Jeff, but still, why do you bring Jeff, the hometown guy, in?
Because it's Jeff Jarrett.
No, but for something negative to happen to him. So I don't know that Sammy does.
Yeah. Well, the only
Sammy comes out and tries. Jeff Jarrett hits him with the guitar.
Well, and it's going to have to be something like that where maybe Sammy, like, again, I know that Vince is listening to our space. I know Vince and the creative team are hanging on every word.
Right.
So what could you do? Sammy comes out, does something to Jeff Jarrett, causes the Usos not to get whatever, the pin. Then the Street Profits, whatever. Jarrett hits him with the guitar. 1, 2, 3. The Usos are done. Okay? What kills me is that it just doesn't. It does because it's SummerSlam.
But it makes more sense.
Yeah. There's give me a break. So the special guest referee is Jeff Jarrett.
Lottie. Sammy in any situation.
Oh my God, Sammy would be so perfect. Have Jeff Jarrett come out with them. The perfect thing would have been, do you appoint Sammy maneuvers into being the special guest referee, so Jeff Jarrett comes out
with the Street
Profits.
Right.
Nope. No, Jeff JEFFJARRETT.
And I guarantee you that's what Sammy will end up doing because Sammy's not in any other storyline at this point.
Right.
So
he's a bloodline.
But he'll be at SummerSlam, so I guarantee you it's come out and try and save the day for the Usos.
And somehow Sammy's getting hit with a guitar. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Right. Sammy's getting hit with a guitar.
And it'll be great.
But then what do you do afterwards? Well, Sammy and Jeff Jarrett get in with him? Stop. Kevin Owens, the Alpha Academy, they just waste talent. And it's terrible. All right, so we've talked about that. We've talked about, I wanted to talk again about the whole Drew McIntyre shenanigans. I mean, I get that they're trying to stretch this out to SummerSlam. Okay, but give me a break. You could have such a build-up to this with Sheamus and Drew, right?
Right.
So I go back years ago to the 3 out of 5 supersets between Chris Benoit, wherever his soul's resting, and Booker T. And then you go back to Cesaro and Sheamus, where they did best 3 out of 5.
Right.
Okay. Had you done that with Sheamus and Drew, so much more intriguing. That you could set up the final match at SummerSlam, winner take all, whoever gets this gets the title shot. We all know it's Drew, okay? But
there doesn't have to be that much storytelling to it. They're so good. A year or two ago when they were in the Thunderdome and they had several matches in a row, which were great.
Yeah, and again, Sheamus and Drew are great workers, absolutely great workers. Drew's so over. Sheamus knows how to bring heat. And has always known how to bring heat.
Right.
So why not that? Or just dispense with the foolishness and say, Drew, you're gonna the title shot's gonna happen. The qualifier for the title shot, and they're gonna do some shenanigans with the brutes being in shark cage like they're doing in AEW or. The Drew's going to bring out half the Tennessee Titans or whatever nonsense. But just, for the love of God, this week, I didn't even understand. Samantha Urban announces Ridge, except they said, no, it's Drew and Sheamus. She says this. Pete Dunne, Butch, whatever his name is, he's ringing the bell. Sheamus is upset. And then Ridge Holland gets a Claymore. What?
Such a waste of a
so stupid. And again, this isn't I don't know who wants this. No fan says, "Oh, this is great."
It's poorly.
Oh, not another swerve. Oh, not another swerve. Oh, that's what we paid our $135 to see Drew McIntyre not wrestle Sheamus with anything on the line. It's terrible. Utterly terrible. Terrible story writing. Terrible. It's just bad. And it's infuriating. So, and then, of course, like I said, we did get another Uso Street Profits. We get the this. I don't even know what the New Day are doing.
Hey, that was.
Go ahead.
They looked hilarious.
They looked hilarious.
Especially Kofi.
Right.
Kofi with
the big belly. He looked like me.
Beard.
He looked like me.
Those guys.
But again, it's sophomoric.
It is.
It's so dumb.
They make the best out of it, but
they have to.
But because they're so great.
Yeah, and by the way, the Viking Raiders should never talk. Just don't talk. They don't need to. They don't need to. They never needed to.
They're so good in the ring.
Yeah, and when they were the War Raiders back in the day, like they never said anything. They just, they mean mugged and they destroyed, right? So now you got the swerve with Shanky and I somehow I see what's his name, the Jinder siding with the War Raiders or Viking Raiders or whatever they are. But this, I'm like, again, what are you going to do with the Viking Raiders once they win? Because the New Day will put them over. Okay, it'll be a great match, what have you. But again, it's what are you going to do with them? Unless the Street Profits. So what are you going to do? Are they going to battle with the Street Profits again? Are we going to go to the? Yeah, are we going to go bowling again and see? Like, stop.
Axe throwing.
Yeah, stop. So, and again, there's no build to this, and this is this is really kind of forced because there's no you got to put content on. Okay, but it's dumb. And then what do you do with Shanky and Jinder? Because I like Jinder. Maybe it's just because I like his song.
I think he's always been
a good performer. He's always been a good worker.
He's a great heel. I mean,
yeah.
He's got the size. He's good on the mic.
Yeah. And I think, I know most people didn't like him being the heavyweight champ, okay? And again, it was all about building that audience in India, okay? But I thought he did a really good job.
You talking about with Randy?
With Randy.
I thought it was great.
The Punjabi punishment match or prison match.
Yeah. I thought that was actually a great...
Yeah. And again, what you're doing is you're that the Indian, the market in India, I mean, you're talking over 1 billion people. They love professional wrestling over there. All the organizations have aspects that play to that, Impact the most of all things. Impact has a ton of Indian-born wrestlers who are, in their contest. So, but I think, and I love Jinder's music. Honest to God, it's one of my favorite entrance ones. And I thought he was great. And now, so what are you going to do with them? Like him and Shanky are going to fight? Okay. All right. Well, give me a break. Shanky. And again, Shanky's incredibly athletic. So, but again, like Shanky should be fighting almost but it's and again, part of this too plays to a little bit of the what Corey Graves talked about with NXT. So Graves came out on his podcast and said that basically NXT is almost it's the same matches over and over. It's the same thing. And I absolutely 100% agree with him because it's why I don't connect with NXT. Because I can't get into the characters. Like I started to finally get into the Bro, and I got into Ciampa and Toothless Timmy, and I thought that was a great thing. And the Undisputed Era, and I came to really appreciate the Undisputed Era. But none of these guys outside of I like Cameron Grimes and I like Legado, but other than that, it's and Graves is right. It's all the same match. Right. Fabian. Giovanni Vici he's Fabian Eichner.
Right.
I mean, they're the same. I mean, different packaging.
Right. But
the wrestling isn't any different. Okay. So you put him in with Apollo Crews and what's exciting?
What's exciting about
yeah, and Graves talked about the Creed brothers, who I'm not a fan of because I think they're sloppy. I mean, they're young. They're very green.
Right.
Very sloppy, but okay, yeah, they're powerhouses. Okay, that's a little bit different, but Legado, they don't let them be the luchadors that they really are. But when you put that match in there with, Tony, whatever his name is, what's the guy's name? Tony DeLuca or whatever his name is, the mob boss, whatever that character is. He's the same as Escobar. I mean, they're the same type of wrestler, and they shouldn't be. He should be a brawler. He should just be, no good and dirty, and Escobar should show that luchador skill and this and that. It's not. They're the same wrestlers.
Right.
And Ike and Vitti or whatever his name is, Eichner against Apollo is the same match.
Mm-hmm. Because I don't let them.
Right.
You're not allowed to be who they truly are.
No,
and you don't see their different skill set.
Right, and that's what I think. Again, what draws me to AEW, because at least, and I will be critical of AEW because I do think storylines are way too long, but the wrestling showcases the different world styles.
Right.
Where the WWE, it seems like it's the same match.
Everybody wrestles the same.
Yeah.
You just either big or small.
Yeah, and the small guys never get pushed because Vince doesn't believe in the small guys. Well, okay. But again, you got like Carmelo Hayes, who I think is a really talented guy. He could be having some outstanding matches like he did with Cameron Grimes. Like he did, who was the other person involved in that North American sort of title chase? It was Grimes, him, and I can't even see. That's what I mean. It's forgettable.
Right.
Oh, it was Escobar. So those three guys could put on a barn burner of matches, right? And just nothing.
Right.
And I agree with Graves on that. And that's what I think is the big problem with the WWE. Like, again, how many times can we watch the different iterations of the Street Profits and the Usos? Okay? You interject Sammy on commentary. It doesn't change the match. And again, these guys are put on barn burners of matches. I mean, if you just let them wrestle and just let them go, great. Same with, the Alpha Academy. The Alpha Academy can go.
Right.
Chuck Gable can go.
Right.
And he can go with anybody, even though he's quote unquote short.
Right.
But wrestling wise, unstoppable. Right. And I think it's the appeal of FTR because they can go with anybody, but they don't showcase them. It's this, and then and the same with the women's division.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about Lacey Evans, who again didn't even wrestle.
Terrible.
Yeah, and again, I like her as a heel. She's going to be able to do more as a heel.
She has to be a heel.
But you got to wrestle. I mean, and whoever said to her, "Oh, that's going to be your thing. You're just going to walk." Like, stop. She did that. That's when she did the model thing when she was the Southern Belle. Just let her go. Just let her wrestle. Let her wrestle the young girl. What was her name?
That's her
Carmen or whatever.
Right.
Who was the girl? She's just another one of those pretty face girls that never get to do anything.
But just utilize her strength. Her strength is her in ring wrestling ability.
Yeah, they have her squash what's her name? Is it Chelsea? Who was the girl? Who's the girl? The Canadian girl.
Is it Aaliyah?
Aaliyah. Yeah, I'm sorry. Chelsea Green. They're all the same. But I mean, just have her squash her.
Right.
Just do a squash.
Yeah. I mean, let her be a true heel.
Right. And the thing of it is okay. So now what do you do? So where she could be better used is Raw, because now she could be a legitimate contender. Because obviously Rhea is a lot more hurt than
what they're putting
out there. So Bianca and Lacey Evans, that's a match. And you got two physically gifted women, truly athletes, and you can let them go.
Oh yeah.
And not that Becky isn't, but you can interject Becky in there too.
Right.
Becky doesn't need anything.
No.
She can fight Lacey Evans because it's like, well, who are you to take my spot?
Right.
She can fight Bianca. Bianca can fight Lacey. And there. Now, are you waiting for Charlotte to come back? Are you going to do Lacey and Charlotte again?
See that again?
Well, yeah, no. But again, match wise, I would. Because they're fit, they're athletes.
But that's again, if they would truly let them do everything athletically that they are capable of doing. But
all right, so but again, what do you do with Lacey now? I see it as an opportunity to elevate, say, what's her name? Not Rochelle, Roxanne, Raquel Gonzalez,
right?
Or Raquel Ramos or whatever.
I think it's Gonzalez.
Is it Gonzalez? No, she was Gonzalez. Sanchez? I don't know. Whatever name they changed her to.
I think
the former NXT Women's Champion.
Rodriguez.
who just smiles. Now all she does is smile. Where she's another one who's just, why is she smiling? Like, you don't need to smile, girl. You are a physical specimen. Like,
who was she with then in NXT? Oh, it was.
Well, she was battling with.
But she was with the.
What's her name? The Australian girl.
She was Australian, yeah, and they were.
They were a good team.
Together.
Then they broke them. They had 2 really good matches, and then they released Dakota Kai.
She's gone.
Yeah, they released her, which is a shame.
She even could have been good on the main roster.
Yeah, I mean, again, she's a scrapper like Alexa is. She's a scrapper like Liv. They're trying to build Liv into, and you need those kind of women. You need women who are scrappers, who have no problem just going and going and going, right? But they won't do anything. Like, and again, it's my problem with Liv. Okay, so she's so over with the crowd, and it's almost like Kofi's run. When they finally put the belt on Kofi, and the crowd was ecstatic, and then you had a lifeless feud with Randy, and then he gets squashed by Brock, and it was just like, why did you do that to Kofi? Kofi was so over.
Do you think? Not to get off topic, do you think Liv's going to retain at SummerSlam?
I think by some sort of maybe shenanigans.
Right.
Like, she won't have a win. Okay, it'll be either disqualification or something, right? Or they're just going to squash her and then put it right back on Ronda for some bizarre reason.
Make 0 sense.
Well, unless it's Ronda's turn and now she's a heel. Right. But the point being is, like, Natalya and Liv have a good match, and apparently there was some sort of thing at a house show where Natalya did no sold or whatever. I none of that matters to me because I think it's wasted. So Ronda squashes Natalya, and then Natalya and Liv are in a epic battle, and then the whole thing is, well, you had a hard time against Natalya, but Ronda didn't, and it's like, what? First and foremost, you give no credence to what Natalya brings. So Natalya does what she always does, which is put everybody over. But again, it's like, so what are we setting up Liv as the ultimate underdog? I mean, is she Daniel Bryan? Or Bryan Danielson, or like, I don't understand the storytelling. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
Like Thunder Rosa, okay? And again, I'm going to compare the two because you got, like, Bianca Belair always looks good, okay? Because she is. She's physically imposing. She's an incredible athlete.
Nothing she can't do.
There's nothing she can't do. And that's why I think that with Carmella can at least continues to give her great matches.
Right.
But again, it's going to be stale because, she's not losing to Carmella, which is, again, a thing of. So, all right, Liv's the ultimate underdog. Okay, fine. But how far can you take that? Right. Like, Kofi was the ultimate underdog too,
but it's taken.
And so was Bryan Danielson.
So how much?
Right.
To make it believable, why would we think that you're going to take it any further?
And if Ronda squashes her and becomes a heel, but what are you going to do? What are you going to do with Ronda afterwards?
Right. How many times can Liv beat somebody that's twice her size? Because most of the roster is.
And even like Thunder Rosa, when Thunder Rosa beats like Nyla Rose, right? Nyla Rose is obviously but I mean, Nyla Rose is athletically. I mean, she's a powerhouse, right? Thunder Rosa beat her legit because Thunder Rosa used ring strategy, speed, all that stuff. It's the same reason, like, you look at, some of when the small, like Orange Cassidy, right? Orange Cassidy gives Wardlow a really good match because he used a strategy that, okay, you could build Liv into that.
Right.
Because it's almost how you sort of sold Sasha. Like, Sasha, you look at Sasha and you go, there's no way. She's small, she's tiny, but she was smart and she was aggressive and nasty, and she wasn't afraid to do what she had to do, right? Alexa was moving towards that, and then when she went with The Fiend, it was like, oh my God, Alexa, this is great. Right? You really could believe that Alexa could do this. And now, she and Oscar are carrying a doll. But with Liv, like, I don't understand. Again, Natalya puts everybody over. But to go, okay, Ronda squashed Natalya, which she really didn't. She attacked her and then blah 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 blah. But then in a legit match, they go and go and go, and then it's just yeah.
It's a mess.
It is.
There's so much mess.
Yet, you know what? I guarantee they probably sold 5 times as many T-shirts for Live this week. I'm sure the Street Profits sold their Street Profit cups, and that ultimately, yeah, the bottom line is it's about the merchandise, and they're pushing the merchandise. So, all right, well, let's spend the last 15 minutes because we've gone longer than we usually do. Talk about AEW. I want to talk again. I am become incredibly biased. I love AEW. Absolutely love AEW. Swerve your in your glory. Keith Lee is a monster, and Swerve is good.
Such a loss for the WWE.
Well, but again, it's a choice. And again, Swerve, when he made his turn originally in NXT. That was like when people realized, oh my God, this guy's really, really talented, right? And even the group he was with were getting momentum, and then it's gone.
I mean, when they got momentum, cut.
And that made no sense to me because I really thought that whatever the records, whatever the gimmick was, worked. Right. And my God, is Swerve good. Okay, but I want to talk about Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs.
They're fantastic.
They are fantastic.
I loved, what was the move Ricky went on to the top.
Oh, yeah, when they slapped each other.
Walk across.
Stop. Him and the Bucks. Okay, so it was Nick Jackson, it was Nick and him, and both of them were walking across the ropes. Like, stop it.
Right.
And by the way, the Bucks win, lose, it doesn't matter. The Bucks are probably the best tag team in the world. Next to FTR. I mean, everybody wants FTR.
Different styles.
Different styles. I feel the same way about the Lucha Bros. I mean, Lucha-wise, sweet Lord.
So, in their own ways, they're all the best.
The Bucks make everybody look good. Everybody. But my God, I listen, when Hobbs spine busted Lee, I thought, holy crap, it's over. And then when he was spine busting people, that boy is impressive.
How about that move?
And Ricky Starks. Give me more.
So what I was saying was Ricky alone was walking across the ropes.
Yep.
Powerhouse had him up, and I guess it was a power bomb or a electric chair position. Yeah. And then Starks jumps off the rope, and I guess
he cut him.
What a move! And
wow. And that's what I mean. Like again, Ricky Starks he's so good. Hobbs is really coming into his own.
Yeah.
And that match, I think, really elevated everybody. Like the Bucks don't need to be elevated anymore.
Right.
My God.
But it reminded you.
Yeah. Why? Yeah. Listen, if FTR is a 7-star, so are the Bucks.
Okay? And now you can say Hobbs and Ricky Starks. They don't need to keep them together. I like them as a team.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got a great feud right there.
Right.
Because the Bucks always have the out is, well, you didn't pin us.
Right.
So however they're going to move that all around, the Bucks can always guess, well, you didn't beat us. You beat them. Okay? That match was outrageous. I want to also talk a little bit about the Painmaker is coming back, which I'm so excited about.
And that was his gig from Japan.
Wow. So he became... So it goes back to...
For Omega.
Yeah. Well, not Omega. Well, partly Omega, but it was more for Okada.
Okay.
So Okada is the Rainmaker.
Right.
So when they headlined the Tokyo Dome, he was the Painmaker.
Okay.
And it was total reinvention, again, because that's what Jericho does. Jericho constantly is reinventing himself, which makes him, in my personal opinion, absolutely in a conversation with the greatest of all time. I don't care what people say.
As long
as he's done it, how many different iterations you've had of Chris Jericho, where he's done it all over the world. He's hands down my favorite wrestler of all time. Him and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff were always, I always loved Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. Bret Hart and Chris Jericho, but Jericho absolutely 100%. He is my top of the top.
Right.
So he and Eddie, and again, I think that once again, Chris is going to do what Chris does, and he's going to elevate Eddie and put Eddie over because the Painmaker has not been beaten. But my God, if that isn't the perfect scenario for this type of match, the Painmaker, Eddie, the whole deal. I thought the promo he cut was absolutely perfect, which is always, and just reestablishing that Chris Jericho is what sports entertainment is supposed to be.
Right.
I just thought that was absolutely fantastic. The other person who I think is doing incredible work is Christian.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
He's like, that's what Edge should have been. And by the way, we didn't even talk about the mess of the Judgment Day versus the swerve of that's going to happen, which is going to piss me off. Excuse my language, but and the Mysterios.
Dominic.
Yeah, Dominic.
Dominic's
Edge comes back. Dominic turns.
Then who do you think's who's the third piece for Edge?
Perhaps Dolph Ziggler's not doing anything. God, who cares? It's just so bad. Like, I love Finn Balor. I love Ray. I love Edge. That Damian Priest, I've always sort of been okay on, but I think he's good.
Yeah.
Dominic, I think, has proven himself that he is,
and he's still
legit.
Very young.
Yeah, he's still very young, but he's one of those guys like the who are the flight guys. The kid that does all the amazing things over in AEW. Not Moriarty, but he's with Matt Sydal. His brother, he and his brother were top flight. Anyway,
right.
Not Damien. What's his name? Anyway,
I know you're talking about.
Darius and whoever. But that kid's phenomenal. I think you could turn Dominic into somebody like that, right?
Right.
So now, what was the original? What was my thought? Can I rewind the? What was I talking about?
We were talking about
Christian. About Christian, Jungle Boy,
and how that's what Edge should have been.
Yeah. Christian is despicable.
And he is
it's so good at being despicable.
One of the best.
And another one of my all-time favorites. The Captain Charisma thing was incredible.
Well, and it helps AEW. He can say whatever he wants.
Yeah, he really can. And
he
did say some awful things.
But
and again, all that has to be signed off on, so they understand the business.
Right.
And good for the Varsity Blondes because they were sort of stuck in kind of limbo. I do like this sort of sense of the Varsity Blondes and Jungle Boy sort of coming back. I think the Blondes are really talented kids.
They're very young.
But they're
very
great.
Young.
Just like I said, I can't think of the kid's name, but he's phenomenal. And he and Moriarty are going to be fighting, which I think is going to be a great match. But the Christian is what, like that whole Judgment Day nonsense. Christian just showed you what it should have been.
Right.
And, Luchasaurus is unbelievable. I mean, he's just such a physical specimen. And then I guess the last thing we can talk about is how good is Darby Allin? I don't know if you saw on Rampage, but if you did. Okay. So Rampage, first and foremost, I can't wait to see what they're going to do with Miro and the House of Black.
Right.
Miro's there. So anyway, it's Brody King against, oh gosh, what was the match? Anyway, a good match. Oh, was it two of them? It was the House of Black versus, I'm brain dead. And this is awesome on a podcast because people want to hear your complete and utter forgetting of what you're doing. But sorry, as we consult, and I know this is great radio. Against the Dark Order. So it's what's his name? Johnny Hungy,
right?
Who I love that kid, and who's his partner? John Silver. Yeah. Was it? No, it's Alex Reynolds. Yeah.
Reynolds, yeah.
So they go against Malachi Black and Brody King, which was a really good match. Okay, the fact that John Silver suplexed Brody King just shows you how much
they can hold their weight.
They absolutely could. And I mean, obviously it was the right thing. You're elevating the House of Black.
Right.
and then out of nowhere, I mean, literally, he jumped off of you know how AEW has those entranceways.
Right. Who's jumping?
Darby Allin.
Darby Allin.
Darby Allin leaps onto Brody King, like out of nowhere, and you're like, my God, he is psychotic, but he's great, and I love that kid.
You think he's more psychotic than Jeff?
Oh God, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, oh yeah. Well, and here's the difference: he's not in rehab, so
right.
Okay. So anyway, so he just torpedoes, like literally off the like the big screen. He just came out of nowhere. And then you have the Malachi Black versus Sting.
Right.
So there's a couple of different ways you can go with this. Does Sting recruit Miro to come in and be, the Redeemer to go, or does do they recruit Malachi? Do they recruit Miro to help with this battle, which I could watch? I love Miro.
Yeah.
His Redeemer things are literally ridiculous, but my God, Darby Allin came out of nowhere. And when you're going after that monster, because they had the whole setup where Brody King attacks Darby Allin during the week, at an autograph signing and all that, which is totally great. I mean, that is sports entertainment. I mean, that's creating storylines,
sure. Right?
Not Twitter battles. Oh, we had a Twitter battle. Like, stop. That's not. Fans don't want to hear that crap. I'm sorry. So that was the last thing. Again, another great match too with Takeshita and John Moxley.
Yep.
I get the feeling that the Blackpool Combat Club may be adding Takeshita because, again, I don't know the status of Danielson,
right?
But that kid can go. I mean, he can go.
Sure.
And he and Moxley had a great match. And, the last match of the night was, I thought, a really good barn burner. But it was Gresham and Moriarty. Great fight. Chris Statlander. But, Private Party and the Lucha Brothers was the main event. And again, I think the Private Party is going to turn good because Andrade brought him out with Roosh. And obviously, it was the whole setup of, the disrespect that Andrade did by taking the masks. Right. Roosh, the same deal. But I think Private Party is going to turn just like the Acclaimed. Because I think the people are ready for it. I'm going to tell you that I'm still devastated that the Acclaimed and the Ass Boys are not together. Because I love the thought of them as a foursome.
Yeah.
And with Daddy. So, again, Billy Gunn tries to explain why he did it. They wouldn't scissor him. How do you not scissor Daddy ass? They super kicked him. So, but again, this is why I think AEW is just heads and tails. And again, I know it's not the same. I know it's the difference between sports entertainment or wrestling, whatever. But to me, as a viewer, it's cohesive.
More appealing.
Their storylines.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we have gone an hour and a half and really talked about very little. Which is what I think
talked about a lot, but not a lot.
Not a lot, but
still a lot.
And I'm going to tell you that here in the Sports Dojo, it is about sports enlightenment and now sports entertainment enlightenment.
That's right.
But I hope you enjoyed the show.
Enjoyed the conversation.
I always enjoy the conversation. The Stallion bringing his perspective, the Sensei bringing the knowledge. But anyway, so those of you who were checking in on us, we appreciate it. We are going to continue to do this over the next weeks and months, and because we love it, and that's just what it's all about. So thank you for anyone who listened in on the Sports Dojo, or if you do listen in later on, you discover and go, oh my gosh, I'm sorry I missed this. Give us a tweet. Let us know that you're listening and let us know that you enjoyed what we were talking about. So with that, we give you the salute. We say, domo arigato from the dojo, and we'll catch you next week.
Have a brotastic week.
Boom.